Hello and welcome to Jessie Bear Book Club. Today we are going to be discussing how Joffrey Baratheon is based on Louis X of France from the Accursed Kings series, better known as Louis the Hutin. Louis X was the oldest of Philip the Fair's sons and the first to inherit. He earned the nickname the Hutin, which means the fool, the headstrong, or the quarrelsome. Maurice Druon's translations are all translated to one of these throughout the books, and Louis the Hutin is definitely the inspiration for Joffrey Baratheon. Louis and Joffrey are both blonde young men who become king at a very young age and have a penchant for torturing people they feel have betrayed them. Louis has all the servants at the Tower of Nell tortured to death, and Joffrey has the Antler Men. We do not know the means by which the Hutin tortured his victims, but we know Joffrey had antlers nailed to the heads of the men in King's Landing who supported Stannis before trebucheting them over the walls. There is also Louis's need to humiliate his first wife, Marguerite, after she makes him a cuckold, and this puts me in mind of Joffrey's need to humiliate Sansa publicly for things her family have done. There is also the story where Louis the Hutin doesn't like dogs because he was bitten by one once as a child for trying to put a nail through its ear. This reminded me very clearly of the time Joffrey was bitten by Nymeria, and it also reminded me about the story Robert Baratheon tells about Joffrey opening up the mama cat to try and see her kittens. The similarities between these two young kings become even stronger, wherein the Strangled Queen, Louis the Hutin, is taking his recreation in his favourite way by shooting arrows at doves that are slowly released from a basket into a barn so they have no escape. This reminded me completely and utterly of the scene where servants are releasing hares in the garden of the Red Keep for Joffrey to shoot with a crossbow. They're perfect mirror images of each other. There is one big difference, however, in how George R. R. Martin and Maurice Druon explore these characters. Maurice Druon takes the time to explore Louis X's psyche, talking about how his father was so strong-willed and powerful, and how Philip the Fair held on to power so relentlessly it damaged Louis because he didn't have any time to test his wings or build confidence. This is something George R. R. Martin doesn't often do with his villains. It would have been interesting to see inside Joffrey's head. He obviously worshipped his father, Robert Baratheon, even though Robert Baratheon despised him. They had nothing in common. Robert obviously ignored Joffrey quite a bit and was physically cruel with him. This is something that maybe would damage a child. Robert was also a raging alcoholic who often beat Cersei in front of Joffrey. This may be one of the reasons Joffrey was so cruel to Sansa. This is how he thought you should treat your wife. Robert had led by example. On the other side of the coin, Philip the Fair had made Louis watch the Templars be burned alive. That was his godfather being burned out there. That does something to a young mind. Maybe because these two young men are not as strong as their fathers, they act cruelly to make up for their lack, mistaking cruelty for strength. I'm not excusing their actions, only making a point. George R. R. Martin has a habit of leaving out interesting characters' POVs. We never see inside the young wolf's head, and that is something George R. R. Martin has actually said he regretted not doing. We never see inside Ramsay's Bolton head. I'm sure it's a cesspool, but I feel we would benefit from those creative choices. As you guys know, I love a well-written villain, and I would love some Joffrey POV perspective chapters, as I adore Cersei's POVs. Now we move along to Louis the Hutin and Clemence of Hungary's wedding, and if you wanted any more proof that Louis the Hutin is the template for Joffrey Baratheon, man, this is it. At Louis and Clemence's wedding, a live fox jumps out of their wedding cake. Doesn't that remind you slightly of a wedding pie and birds coming out of the pie as it's opened? The scenes are almost identical. That is now 7 points I have made of how Louis the Hutin is the template for Joffrey Baratheon. But my final proof, George R.R. Martin pretty much lifted Joffrey off the pages of Maurice Druon's book, is the fact that both young men are poisoned, dying soon after their weddings, and the poisoners are undiscovered older women close to the throne. It is insane to me that nobody has noticed the similarities between these two characters before. It's nearly plagiarism. I know it's not, but we might say that George R. Martin has plucked a bit of fruit, planted it, and grown his own tree in the likeness of the Hutin. I'm also going to make a point here that in George R.R. Martin's original outline for A Song of Ice and Fire, Sansa was going to have Joffrey's baby. In the Accursed Kings series, Clemence has the Hutin's baby. They're practically identical. But I am glad George R. R. Martin put his own spin on the way Joffrey died. Otherwise, it would have been far too close for comfort. But what do you think? Do you think Joffrey Baratheon was plucked like an apple from the pages of the Accursed Kings series by Maurice Druon? Leave me a comment with your thoughts below, and if you think I've made some good points, all 9 of them, like this video. It's the only way the algorithm notices me at all. You can also subscribe because I have a lot more Accursed Kings series videos coming out, including reviews and more of these A Song of Ice and Fire Accursed King comparisons on the way. Until next time, don't go cherry picking characters. Bye!